Hey, welcome in everybody to another episode of Real Talk with Papa Moon. On today's episode, we have one of our on-air talents from Inside Edge. He's on multiple podcasts, so I'm going to let him tell you about those because it's way too much for me. Chad Bryan, welcome in.
Hey, it's good to be here. And sometimes I think it might be too much for me. People ask me, like, what shows are you on? And I'm like, okay, hold on. I got to think of the day of the week that I'm on. Today I was on Illegal Formation with TK Dandridge. Sundays, I'm co-host of the Sunday Sports Show with Ryan Mosser and TK. And then during the week, Monday through Thursday, you might know this fella. I'm on a show with a guy they call Eli Moon. I don't know if you know him or not.
Kind of sort of know him.
Yeah, on Inside Edge Primetime from 10 to 11. Well, usually about 10 to 11. Sometimes it's like 10:08 to 11:08, but that's okay. We get it going.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm busy 6 days a week, man. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I know. I know. And most of the time when you guys are recording the prime time, I'm sitting across the room listening to it and enjoying it. So that's quite a busy schedule and quite a different. We're going to get into it later about the different personalities on each show and the logistics with it. So, but first of all, how are you today?
I am doing excellent. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so honored that you asked me to be on this show. I've been watching most of the episodes, man. When I get a chance, I try to watch every show on the network. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes the kids, we have something going on. We got some. Speaking of logistics, we got stuff going on here, and I get pulled away for a little bit. But yeah, I'm honored to be here, and I'm excited. I feel like I'm more nervous than I would be doing my own show. Because at least with my show, it's my show, right? Like now I got to make your show good. So, but I'm very honored that you asked me to be here.
And I'm grateful that you're joining us. I want to try to start highlighting, the guys on the podcast. I love it. Absolutely love having you guys on. So let's get started. I mean, I know you're a father. So from one father to another father, how is it being a father, and how do you juggle all this?
I think being the father, it's funny because that's the hard part, but it feels like the easy part, right? Because like you trust your gut, you trust your heart, right? You do the right thing. Right. But yeah, I mean, my kids have given me just a whole different perspective on life. I think since my daughter was born, my daughter's 10, my son is 6, and they'll be 11 this coming fall. And 11 and 7, obviously not both 11. That'd be weird if one skipped 4 years, but
7-11.
Yeah, 7-11. There you go. Lucky year for them. But they've just given me a whole new perspective. I think they've taught me to just appreciate the journey more than trying to stress about getting to the destination. Just kind of living every day, and you see little things that it's funny, like the things that they do. It's almost like I had forgotten that my brain used to think this way. And you watch them grow up, you watch them try to figure stuff out, and you're like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember, being at this age and like the things that go through your head, and you try to relate to them, and man, they just look at life in such a beautiful way. They have like just such an innocent view on things, and I'd prefer to keep it that way as long as possible. But yeah, I think they've just taught me to, like I said, just kind of slow down, enjoy the journey, and just sort of, I don't know, smell the roses, I guess, per se.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's I guess it definitely changes your life. I always tell everybody, I have 3, and I tell everybody it changes your life for the best.
For sure.
100% for the best. That's awesome. So so this is one of my things. Like as a father, I used to be let's go to baseball, let's go to wrestling. There's days I would work all night long. I'd come home, I'd get gear ready and go to an event all day long, then go back home and go to work.
Yep.
So how's that? I mean, that's gotta be crazy, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you do anything you can for them, and I feel like most parents are the same. You want them to have better opportunities and just to have a better life, I guess, than you did. You want them to have just the good things in life, and you try to teach them at the same time that there are some limitations, right? You gotta live life by certain rules, and you have to treat people a certain way. I think I just one thing I always try to impress upon them is to just to come at everybody with kindness and patience, and give people the benefit of the doubt. Really listen. You just never know what kind of day someone's having. You never know what kind of background they come from. So sometimes when you run into somebody that maybe is a little more difficult, we try to teach our kids to just be patient, give them the benefit of the doubt, and try to find a way to relate to everybody in some certain way. Obviously, there's some people that you're going to have a difficult time with or whatever. But yeah, I try to teach my kids to be a little more patient than I was, maybe as a younger adult. But they've reinstilled that patience in me, so I try to return that favor and just teach them all the stuff they need to know to get through life. Man, sometimes it's not always rainbows and unicorns. You're going to have tough days, so I teach them how to deal with that. And at the same time, I think while I'm teaching them, I'm learning those lessons for myself, and I think it's good for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely teach us, don't they?
For sure. Yeah.
They definitely teach
Every
us.
second of the day. Yep.
Just just to touch on a different subject. I know it's a long way away for you, but I just became a grandfather 4 years ago. I'm telling you what, being a grandparent is even different than being a parent. So,
I can imagine.
but
Well,
yeah,
I
it's
think being a grandparent is cool because when they smell funny, you can hand them back, right? Like you
this.
don't have to go. You can just say, "Hey, this one smells something like something happened." Yeah, I don't want to. You know what I mean? I think you have the right to do that as a grandparent.
Oh, 100%. That's facts. That's fact. It's great. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
So, watching all your podcasts, man, I tell you what, you're a big sports guy. So what's your background? What brought you to like doing this sports casting? I can't even talk.
No, that's a great question. I mean, I played sports all my life. I was a big baseball guy. Growing up, I played a little football. I played some basketball, but mostly, baseball. I was in martial arts as a kid. Um, I really appreciate that time that I spent in martial arts. I think that helped kind of teach me just sort of, discipline, just to be a little more well-rounded. And just it taught me to fight through some things. I think it taught me that I was a little bit tougher than I thought I was as a kid. But yeah, I've always loved watching sports. I mean, as a kid, I can remember, getting out the whatever, the baseball encyclopedia or the
Wow.
basketball, like the history of and reading all the stories about all the NBA finals. And I actually remember having the memory of being a kid and thinking like, I'm watching this basketball game and it's like 122 to 116. But I see in the finals this year, I don't understand this. The Lakers beat the Celtics 4-2. Like, how did no one score? I didn't even realize when I was reading these books at such a young age. I didn't even realize it was like a best of seven situation. You know what I mean? I'm like 4-2. What's that?
I
It's
get you.
funny. I
Yeah.
actually have that memory of asking my dad, like, how was the score 4-2? Like, does the game completely change in the play? Like, what's going on here? But yeah, I've always wanted to read about sports. I've just always wanted to know more. Every job that I've ever had, I usually run into, whether it's a customer or a coworker, someone had always said along the way, man, you have you ever thought about like getting a job talking about sports? Like you kind of have a radio voice, man. You know a lot. Like you seem knowledgeable. You're easy to talk to about it. Like. And I thought, well, no, I could never do. I could never do that. And then at some point, I think you start to listen to people. When people say it enough, you go, well, all right, maybe I could do this. And to be perfectly honest with you, when my son was born, I took FMLA leave. And it was just at the point where I realized while I was gone, I didn't really love my job and what I was doing at the time. And I was forced with a decision. It was like, okay, I need to either go back to work uh, pretty much tomorrow, next week, whatever it was. It was sudden.
Right.
Or I need to find another plan immediately. And I started looking into the Ohio Media School. I'd heard, all the commercials on the radio and seen stuff come across my social media and just kind of ignored it because I thought, well, I don't know if I have that kind of personality. I can't really, I can't be as whatever as some of these people I hear on the radio, see on TV, whatever. But I was like, you know what? I just forced with the decision. I'm like, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to do it because what's the worst possible thing? And at that point, I think my confidence level rose a lot when we had my daughter, right? It was just sort of like, okay, well now I need to do things that I can't worry about how I feel, right? If I fail, I fail, but I'm going to fail. And I'm going to go down swinging because it's for them. And I think that's what changed. Honestly, it was just like I was doing something that was bigger than me. And I think that made it easier. It was sort of like it felt like more of a calling rather than, well, let's just try this and see if it works. It was like, okay, well, let's find something and make it work because this is how, I'd eventually like to make sure that my kids have a nice childhood and they're well taken care of and they're provided for. And, I think there's a path here and I'm just trying to follow all the twists and turns. And there've been plenty, trust me, there've been many, many, many twists and turns. But everyone that I've met along the way has been so helpful and so instrumental in getting me here. And it's like it's hard to even try to mention, everybody individually because everyone's played such a different role. And but yeah, I think it was just sort of being forced with a decision to either go back to a job in an industry that I didn't love, or trying to go down the path of people say do what you love and the money will follow, right? Sometimes the money can be a little slow, but at least during that time you're doing what you love. And I guess that's how I looked at it. I was like, I'm going to go do what I love. I'm going to go do what I'm passionate about. And I think I can apply myself better in an industry where I understand how things work. And here I am today.
100%. I absolutely enjoy watching your shows. You do a great job. You're definitely an encyclopedia. You know your sports.
I appreciate
Definitely know your sports. But like growing up, who was your influence? Like push you towards the sports and maybe that direction.
Believe it or not, a big part of I think what brought me here was having TBS. So I was a Braves fan from the time I was a young kid. A friend of mine, we used to go. We had a place at Indian Lake back home that we'd go stay at on the weekends, and a friend of mine there was a Braves fan. And so no matter what we were doing, 6:30, 6:45 would come around, and we'd go back and we'd watch the Braves because they were on TBS almost every night. And just listen, to that crew. I mean, Skip Carey and just the whole Braves TBS. They'd swap back and forth from radio to TV or whatever. I would listen to these guys and just the sense of humor and the way they approached the game. And like when I first started watching the Braves, they were terrible. So almost every night you can pretty much guarantee the Braves are going to be down like 11-3 in the fourth inning. And it just started getting really funny. And I thought, man, this appeals to me. I like this. And I ended up reading a book later on that I can't remember which announcer it was that wrote the book, but Skip Carey at some point had a minor league hockey play-by-play job that he had gotten, and he shows up and it's very kind of fly by night. It's not the NHL, right? He gets there and they're sort of unprepared for him, and he didn't have rosters. He didn't even have like anything. He had nothing to prepare. So on the fly, he decided that he would use relatives' names. So instead of saying these guys' names, because he has no idea who they are, he can see their numbers, but that's it. He's calling them Aunt Edna, and Grandpa Gerald or whatever. He's just using his family's names for the players. And it was absolutely hysterical. And people were calling in and saying, hey, whoever this guy is, hire him immediately. This is the full-time announcer. And I think he got called into the office and they were like, hey, great job. Please never do that again. And it sort of changed the way they did. He had rosters and he had full preparation the next time he was able to go. But just knowing, just growing up on those guys and their sense of humor, and honestly, Marty Brennaman and Joe Nuxall. I listened to the Reds games on the radio as well as a kid, and just knowing how that made me feel. I always thought, how cool would it be to just be in charge of whether you're doing play-by-play on the radio or whatever it is. You kind of get to write the script and you get to bring this picture to someone's mind. I mean, I was always obsessed with listening to baseball games on the radio because what a cool skill to be able to not only see what you're seeing, but to be able to paint a picture for a listener who isn't watching that game. I mean, you're sitting on the radio, and I mean, the way Marty Brennaman did it, the play-by-play, I could sit and close my eyes. And I was a Braves fan, but this is, Reds local radio. I could sit and close my eyes and picture what it looked like, And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I thought, man, I wish, maybe one day I can be responsible for bringing sports to someone like this. And it took me a really long time to go through all the twists and turns and get here. But I do feel like, I'm finally on that path. I think it's safe to say that I'm headed that direction.
Yeah, it's your passion. It's I think it's more. This isn't a job to you. This is your passion.
For sure.
This is what you want to do, and I think it makes it easier on people. 100%, so much easier. So you're a Braves fan, huh? Oh my gosh. Yeah, Eli did tell me about this. He did warn me.
Yeah, it's fair. It's a fair warning. It's and my wife, we've said it before on the show. My wife does not let me talk about 1995 in the house. Not allowed to mention that year. So, and I'm not a Braves fan that really. I don't throw it in anyone's face. I mean, my entire life, the Braves have 2 World Series championships, and there's probably at least 8 or 10 times where you could say they were easily the best team in baseball. So I
Oh
understand what
yeah.
it's like to not get it done. Like I completely understand, and I don't think that well, they were the Indians at the time, but I don't think the Guardians have ever had a bigger fan than that World Series against the Cubs. I mean, I was sitting here. I went to Game 2. I was actually in attendance at Game 2, the first World Series game, the only World Series game I've ever been to in my life.
Oh wow.
Great experience. I mean, just an unbelievable experience. And the weather was bad. It was cold. It was rainy. But it was an amazing night. I'm so thankful to have been able to be there and see that. And they didn't get the win, but that's okay. And they didn't get the win in the series either. But like I said, I don't think they've ever had a bigger fan outside their normal fan base. I mean, I was yelling at my TV just like I was a homegrown Guardians fan. There was no difference at that point. I really wanted them to win that World Series, but
Yeah, the one that gets me is the ones when they lost. I was okay with them losing to the Braves because the Braves was an outstanding team.
yeah,
Outstanding team. I think my hardest one was '97 when they dropped it to the Marlins.
yeah.
But hey,
That's definitely a series they should have won. And to the Cleveland's credit, I'll give you this. So that was again, that was 1995. Sometimes you didn't know a whole lot about the other league. Like I watched the Braves almost exclusively, and I
yeah,
remember thinking like, okay, it's the Indians again. They were the Indians at the time. Okay, here we go. It's Cleveland in the World Series, and the Lima paper back where I'm from close to Lima, from Wapakoneta, Ohio. So we get the Lima paper, and they had the big full page. Like here are the lineups, here are the starting rotations, like here's the matchup. And I remember like looking through that Indians lineup and going, why is everyone hitting 350 with 40 home runs? Like, what is this? It was like somehow I didn't know. And I was like, oh my God, like this team's a juggernaut. I mean, the offense was absolutely amazing. I think you guys had someone in the 8 hole hitting like 320 with like 29 home runs. And I'm like, our
Ramirez.
yeah, I'm like, we have like, Luis Polonia hitting like 224 with like 6 home runs. Like, what? We're not going to be able to match up with this team. Like, this is impossible. But, they say good pitching beats good hitting. And for that series, I think the pitching came out on top. But man,
Definitely.
I still remember the impression that I got looking. I was like, my gosh, this lineup is crazy. That was a great team. That was a great.
Yeah, yeah. That 8 hole was Manny Ramirez.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, come on. Where else does Manny Ramirez hit number 8?
Right. And I say all the time, I think Manny Ramirez, in my opinion, is probably the best right-handed hitter in the history of the game. I mean, during his prime, which lasted longer than most guys' primes, by the way, Manny was unbelievable. I mean, just an amazing player. And I don't think anybody had more fun. So you can't beat that either.
No, no. Man, what would they just say? Manny being Manny?
Manny being Manny. I always pictured the high five he gave. He made that play up against the wall, jumped up, gave someone a 5, and then, threw the ball into the infield and doubled the guy off at first. I'm like, is there a more Manny Ramirez play than that?
Right. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely a baller, man. I give it to him. We were fortunate to have someone like that, homegrown.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's amazing. I mean that's you're a Braves fan. Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, moving on. Moving on.
It'll all be perfect, right?
Oh yeah. Hey, you know what? I'm not perfect. I'm a Cleveland fan, so
It happens.
well, outside of sports, outside of the job, what's Chad doing? What's any hobbies? Anything like that?
Yeah, I've gotten back into collecting trading cards, believe it or not. My dad, I just got curious. I started seeing some articles about, cards from the 80s and 90s, and I thought, man, I have like box after box and album after album of cards that I collected when I was a kid. I called my dad. I said, hey, the next time you come visit, I said, can you bring some of that stuff up? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll get it out of yeah, absolutely. Like I'll dump it all off on you. So he loaded it all up and brought it up, and I started going through some stuff. I couldn't believe some of the stuff that I had. Nothing crazy valuable, but just cool nostalgia stuff, like stuff that I had forgotten about. Players that were like the chase cards at the time that you're like, it never quite panned out. But yeah, I'm a little bit into collecting cards. I just like to spend time with my family, man. I love spending time with my kids and, just trying to get outside and play with them. I'm their school bus. I take them to school. I pick them up. So I try to spend as much time as humanly possible with them. Cause man, time's fleeting, they're growing up so fast, and I feel like I've blinked and, 3 or 4 years have gone by, and every time I blink, it's like another year, another birthday. And I don't want to let, any of that time get away. I don't want to look back and regret, just not spending time with them when I could. So,
Yeah.
yeah, every waking moment, I try to, I'm trying to play with them. I'm trying to do something to make them laugh, or, just something goofy, running around the house and making them laugh so hard. My daughter, when she was younger, she used to laugh so hard she would throw up.
Oh,
And
wow.
so yeah, we had to watch that. I was like, well, there you go. To me, I took that. I was like, man, stroke my ego a little more, right? Like, please, like, don't let me walk around thinking I'm this funny to make people throw up. Like,
That's
can't
like a celebration. Like I did it.
exactly. Except the one time when I actually caught it in my hands, and I'm like, well, now what are we doing? Like that,
Uh,
yeah, didn't
You
necessarily.
like? Do you say, "Hey, this is yours. Take it back"?
I tried. She didn't want it. Yeah, she ran away from me.
Ah.
I had to go do the dad thing and take care of that. But yeah, that's the bad part about having quick reflexes as well.
So you absolutely have a great outlook on that. I will tell you, um, it's a blessing the way you look at it because um, there's some things like as a father I'd really want to do different, but you've got a great outlook on it and keep that going. That's awesome. That's a
Yeah,
great outlook.
I
Good,
tried, man.
good. I love
They
hearing
make it
that.
easy too. They're great kids, so they really make it easy too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's something you'll never get back. I tell people as the older I get, I feel like the days are longer, but the months are quicker.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
weird. It's a weird, but so yeah, absolutely. Take every moment with those guys, and yeah, you'll look back on it and memories you built. You're gonna love it. Good job.
Yeah. I
I
always
love
tell
it.
them, don't wish away time. My kids are big. Oh, I wish it was summer. It's like it's January and Christmas is over. I just want it to be summer. And I'm like, hey, please don't wish away. Not even the bad days. Don't wish away time. Like, don't do that. I can specifically remember. I tell this story a lot, Papa Moon. I was sitting in sixth grade, and I remember I could look out the window and I could see we were at the middle school at the time, but it used to be the high school in my town. So I could see the high school football field. I could see the high school baseball field out the one window. And I thought, man, that's where we had our field day. And I thought, I'm looking out there. I'm like, it's going to be, I mean, it feels like it's 100 years until field day. And this was probably, September, beginning of the school year. And I'm like, I'm never going to be, it's never going to be field day. Like, it's going to take forever. And this was, I don't know, I guess I was 12. So, yeah, 34 years ago. And from me sitting there at that desk thinking, we'll never get to field day, Papa Moon, 34 years have gone by like that, man. And you couldn't
Yeah,
see it snapped. And it's just like the time is gone, right? And you don't get that time back, like you said. It never comes back. So I think that's like when I look back at that, that's my reminder to make sure that I'm soaking in every little moment of every laugh, every little, even the bad days, even some of the bad stuff. It's like you gotta be there and be present and soak it all in. And like I
yeah,
said, I just don't want to have any regrets and think, I could have spent more time, could have done this, could have done that differently. And there's always things that I think we're going to look back and say we could have done this differently, we could have done it better, could have given a better effort or whatever. But in the moment, I really try to be there and be present, and just be with them and enjoy every second.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. That's that like, again, it's this time you're never gonna get back.
Yeah.
So let's like, hey, on a bad day, if you're on a bad day, you're having a bad day. What is like self care look for like for you? How do you move past these bad days? They're tough. We all have them.
We do.
You
Yeah,
know.
we all have them, and some of them are self inflicted. And that's okay too. I mean, some of us, I will say this: I have been seeing a therapist for a little over 2 years. Just I think it's important, and I, especially after I had my kids, I thought, you got to take care of yourself, right? I started to notice some things. I'm like, I don't like this. I feel like this could be better. I need to talk to someone. And yeah, I could talk to my wife, and she's supportive, and she's helpful, but sometimes you need that outside voice, right? And sometimes it's good to just go sit for an hour and just get things off my chest. But she's taught me a lot. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I was pretty broken when I first walked in there. I had a hard time looking her in the eye. I was so ashamed of where I was in life and the things that I hadn't accomplished or whatever that I thought I would have been, well into by the time I was in my 40s, right? That I thought I'm failing at life. I'm doing everything wrong. I gotta go time, I gotta fix my life. And it really wasn't about fixing my life. It was about fixing my outlook, like you said. And I think on those bad days, one thing that she's taught me, and we've kind of gone over this again recently, is when something goes bad, you can do one of two things. you can either prepare for it to go badly, right? And you can have a plan, or you can say, well, I know when I do this, it's going to fail and there's nothing I can do. And I think it's all about the mindset. If you prepare for things that come at you in a weird way, you prepare for the bad hop, so to speak, in the sports, to pick a sports reference, you can, you can get in front of it. You can knock it down. It may not be perfect, but you can make the play. And I think another thing that she's taught me is when things go bad, when you're having a bad day or something goes wrong, you write down 5 things, I should say, that are good about it. Sometimes when things go wrong, you're learning a lesson. You're in the middle of learning a lesson that you may be able to use the next time things go wrong. You don't even realize it, because sometimes I think you have that emotional reaction before your logical brain really catches up, and you tend to it's anger, right? Frustration, all that comes out instead of
Right.
the problem solving. And I think what she's done with me for that, by kind of teaching me to think about, okay, well, what are 5 ways that this is actually good? It slows that emotional response down, and I think it kind of makes me use my logical brain a little bit more quickly. And I get to the point where I'm now into problem solving mode. I can't thank her enough for that. I mean, she's completely turned my life around. I'm not sure I should say her name on the show, but yeah, I thank God that, and that's something that my wife kind of seeked out from me. I said, hey, listen, you got to find me somebody to talk to. Something's wrong. I got to fix something here. I got to do something. I got to get something going. And she
Right.
actually ended up getting me on medication for ADHD, and that honestly turned everything around for me. Just time management, just stuff that I can't even quite put my finger on changed after I started taking the medication. I had been really, really resistant to medication before that, but instead of a doctor saying, "Hey, you need to take this to get better," she was like, "Well, here's what's going on, and here's what can happen if you do take the medication. Here's what happens if you don't take the medication. It's not always necessarily bad, but you're going to have to work. You're going to have to work on your outlook on things, and really do this. And but with the medication, it's a supplement to that, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of getting the chemicals in your brain. It's getting them back to normal, and you can have these normal responses instead of the ultra emotional responses or whatever." And she eventually, over time, I won't say she talked me into it. It's not like she was coercive in that way. She just sort of, highlighted all the benefits. And I thought, you know what? The benefits are starting to outweigh the risks. I mean, I might as well try this and see how I feel. And what's the worst that happens? We find another medication, or whatever, we change plans. But since that day, and it's a time release thing, it took a couple of weeks to actually feel the difference, but it was like the fog went away. I talk a lot about ADHD and this heavy, heavy brain fog, right? Where I told my wife, it's almost like you're driving down the street, and there's stuff in the street, there's mailboxes, there's tree, whatever, and you can't see it coming because there's such a heavy brain fog that you really can only focus a couple of feet in front of your hood. Well, now when I'm driving, so to speak, in life, I can look down the road and I can see what's coming, and I have time to react to it. I don't feel like I'm speeding through fog anymore. I feel like I'm just kind of cruising through life, and I feel much more in control of what happens to me and how I react to it. And I feel like I'm a better example for my kids because of it. So again, I cannot thank her enough. I mean, she's completely turned my life around, and it's just it's simple things that maybe I should have known them by myself, but I didn't. And again, trained, educated professional. If you are struggling, I will say this: if you are struggling with something and you think in the back of your mind maybe it might benefit you to talk to someone, I'm telling you that it will. 100%
Absolutely.
do it. Seek that person out. And your first therapist may not be your ideal fit. She has been my ideal fit. The way that we get along and the way that she sees, the way that whatever, we just match, right? So it's been very, very good for me. So I just will say that if you're thinking about seeking out help for whatever, whether it's depression, anxiety, maybe you think you have ADHD, maybe you think whatever it is, talk to someone, because finding out and getting out ahead of it is never a bad thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They appreciate you sharing that. It's personal and it's deep. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you're 100% right about seeking help. A lot
Yeah.
of people, I think it's a stigma with men.
Mhm.
I think we think we're masculine and that we can figure everything out on our own. I
Yep.
think that's a big thing with men,
Yep.
me included. Me
Yeah.
included. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I didn't want I don't want to accept it, and like you said, reaching out, that's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought the same
I
thing. I thought I could figure it out on my own too. And then when I had
Right,
kids, I realized how much that was affecting them, And I
yep,
thought, I don't want to do that to them. That's not fair. It's not fair to them. It probably wasn't fair to do that to myself for years. But when you're in it on your own, I don't think you see it the same as when you're actually responsible for these tiny little humans who, they don't have a chance without you, and you want
right,
to be a good example and you want to do things the right way. And this was one of those things I really wanted to do the right way and make sure that they had, a positive role model to say, hey, look, I'm not always going to be able to shoulder this by myself, and that's okay. Um,
right.
so yeah, I mean, it didn't used to be the masculine thing to seek help, but now I think it's that's changed. And I think honestly, if you ignore that and you don't want to seek the help, I think I'm not going to say you're wrong for that, but I just know how much it's helped me and how much it's helped my relationship with my wife and my kids and just even friends.
Yep.
It's made a big change. It's enriched my life quite a bit.
Awesome. Yeah. You're taking care of number one.
Hmm.
Because if we don't take care of you, like you said, how are you going to take care of those babies?
Exactly.
They count on you to be right, and
For sure.
that's awesome. I'm glad you reached out for help.
Yeah. Me too.
Um, I've been seeking therapy a couple years now,
Yeah.
and I was that masculine person. I'm going to figure it out. I'm too tough for it, and
Yep.
yeah, we can't figure it out. We need
No,
help.
it's tough. You need help. You have to have help.
Yeah.
And it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to ask for more help. No one's going to do it for you. But I think
Right.
it's okay to definitely go out and try to seek out the tools for it to find the help so that you can do it with, a little bit of assistance. And that's okay. That's
Yep.
however you get through it, however you figure it out, and however you get to the other side. And, whatever I think is, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, you're only doing it the right way. I think it's okay.
Yep. 100%. 100%. Wow. Thank you. Thanks, Chad. I really appreciate it. And people need to hear that. People
Of
really
course.
need to hear that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you shared your story.
Yeah.
So
It can be
thanks.
tough. It can be scary. It was terrifying to me to think of like I have to go into someone, a stranger, you know, and open up and tell them that. And on top of that, it's like the dynamic of like, I'm a guy and I'm talking to a woman and I'm telling her that I feel inadequate. I feel like I'm not getting it done in certain places and I'm not providing the way I want to provide. And it was really scary at first, but I started to notice like the first couple of times I went, I'd walk out of there and I'm like, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I feel a little better. I mean, sometimes just like I said, getting that weight off your chest or off. Well, in my experience, getting that weight off my chest was it was hugely uplifting for me. And then we slowly transitioned into like just little tips and tricks to kind of you trick the way your brain thinks. You stop thinking about the negative side and you start looking at the positive side
Right.
instead of saying simple things like I'm going to do this and traffic's going to be terrible. And when it is, I'm going to be really mad. Well, you set yourself up to get really mad in traffic. If you go, hey, it's going to be crazy and traffic's going to be wild. We're going to get slowed down. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to, I'm anticipating that. And B, I have a plan. We're going to have fun while we sit in traffic because that's more time we get to spend together on the way there. Again,
Right.
appreciating the journey. Just, that's a micro example, but you appreciate the journey more. And I think that just, again, that starts to train your brain to think positively instead of reacting
Right.
negatively to a situation that, may not be ideal. You start to find the silver lining and you start to, you have fun in those situations instead of, again, the emotional response where you freak out and then you feel bad later. You're like, I didn't mean to, I overreacted again. It's guilt, it's shame. And nobody likes to feel those things. So I feel like if you
Right.
have a plan to react to those bad things that come up and you can kind of take them on effortlessly and not with too much of an emotional response. I think you feel better about yourself and better about the situation. I think it's better for everybody.
100%. And I know what you could do in traffic next time. You could just put on Papa Moon's podcast and listen to that while you're in traffic.
There you go. Perfect.
See?
That's the
See?
perfect response. There you go.
But I like the way you explained about the fogginess, and
Mhm.
and how you can see clearer. After you start doing, I really, 100%. I feel that's exactly how I felt. You know what I'm saying? And you explained it perfectly. I would never thought it that way. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
like that. I
Yeah.
like
It's
that.
hard to put your finger on sometimes until, well, again, my therapist was like, well, why is it that you're here? Like, and not just, try to really like look introspectively and why are you here? And I thought, okay, well, you asked, here we go. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to give you the deep version.
I'm
But
opening up.
yeah, she was right there with me, and sometimes you don't realize you're in that fog until things are going on with you right now. Like what's happening?
Right.
And you kind of have to be shocked back to reality a little bit. But I think the biggest thing is you have to want to seek out help. No one can force you to do it. You've really got to want to take care of yourself, and it's not selfish. It's again, I wanted to do it so I could be a better role model for my kids, and
Yep.
I am immensely glad. It's hard for me to even put it into words how much it means to me, that I've been able to make that a better area in my life, because I want them to have I want them to look back on their childhood and to think of how much fun they had, how much they laughed. And every time my daughter sees something silly on TV, she's like, that reminds me of you. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, just the way the guy's silly, his kids laugh. I'm like,
Right.
that's what I want the lasting impression to be like. That's great, and I'm
Yeah.
just glad I've gotten there. And sometimes it takes a little bit of help.
Yep. Yeah. Um, so let's I want to let's take a deep breath here.
Yeah.
Let's pivot a little bit here, and um, I want to hear about the different personalities that you have to navigate through on the different podcasts that you have. Let's just touch on that. I mean, it's such a I don't have to deal with me and the guest. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? You have co-hosts. So what's the how do I want to say this, the dynamics between you and your different host or guest co-host?
Yeah, well, first of all, everybody is really passionate about what they do, right? We talked about Ryan Mosser, like he's got the algorithm that he's been working on to grade draft prospects, which he put together himself. And again, I always say that's smart guy stuff. He called me one day and told me about it, and I thought, man, this is so cool. Like, first of all, I thought it was cool that he wanted to call me and tell me about it. I thought that was really, really cool. That he was excited about his work that he had done, and one of the first people he thought of was me. I was humbled by that. So
Right.
that was really cool to hear that from him. And then I thought, man, like that's above my pay grade, right? Like I joked with him. I said, hey Ryan, if you ever need any help with this stuff, man, do not text me or call me. You can
Call
call me.
somebody else.
Yeah, always with your excitement, call me. But if you ever need any help, I'm not your guy, man. But
That's
I'm
funny.
super impressed with that. You talk about it, and you say an encyclopedia. I mean, TK Dandridge. Um, TK Dandridge will tell you the starting offensive line for like the 1987 New York Giants without a blink. I mean,
Wow.
you know what I mean? Like he can pull up any. I've been impressed with, and sometimes he'll get a name wrong. One name wrong in the entire history of the time that I've worked with him. And after the show, he's like, I apologize, fellas. I slipped, man. I forgot so and so's last name. And I thought, are you kidding me? Like, first of all, never apologize. I don't care. Never apologize. And second, I think that's the only name I've ever seen you not know in sports history, man. Like, he is an absolute, knowledge trap, man. I mean, it's just like the encyclopedia. That's TK Dandridge. And then it's been fun. And then Eli's great, man. Eli's passionate. We text all day. We plan the show every Monday through Thursday, and I think our personalities match really well, man. We're sort of like, we're serious. Well, obviously we're passionate about this stuff, but we like to have a little bit of fun too. And I think for a primetime show, it's great. We have some dumb little inside jokes, and sometimes I think, when we're on the show, I'm like, people probably have no idea what we're laughing about or what we're even doing, but it's
Right.
okay. I keep telling my kids, like, I'm to the age now where, man, sometimes the jokes are just for me because I like to laugh. I don't care if anybody else gets it. It doesn't matter, right? Like, if you watch us enough, you'll eventually catch on, and those inside jokes will become, a part of your thing too, as a viewer. But yeah, I think it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. I mean, my kids are very different personality wise. They're just so different. And then they have their friends over, and all their friends are different. But I think that's the fun in life. I think that's where playing sports, I think, comes into it. Because I've played baseball with every different kind of person you can imagine, right?
Yeah.
All the silly bullpen guys, all the really, really serious catchers, um, everything in between. And it's just,
Right.
I think it's, the more experience that you have dealing with different personalities, and the more, I think I match energy is what I do.
Okay.
Sometimes that can be really good. Sometimes that can be really bad. You get into the wrong situation, you match energy. It's really not that positive. But I think the good thing about this network, everybody that I've worked with, everybody that I've had either on my show or now, whose shows I've been on with you, everybody's just got such a positive outlook on life. And then you've got Anthony Alfred. I mean, he's been a huge influence on me.
Oh my gosh.
He was my instructor. He was my main instructor when I went through sports emphasis, and he and guys like Chris Beeble and Hayden Grove and just guys like that have played a huge role in kind of shaping me. And I mean, Hayden Grove retaught me how to write a sports article, and I thought I was a person who overshared. I wrote everything. I wrote too much. They'd say write a 1-page article, and I'd come down with 3.5 pages, And he taught me don't bury the lead, right? So again, I think it's just about taking little bits of people's personality and finding what works and letting that kind of feed into what you do. And then maybe the bits that don't work, you either find a way around that, or you find a humorous way to bounce off of that or whatever. And I think I think it's all about matching energy. And with this network, it's been really easy to match energy because everyone's super passionate and everyone's really positive about what they do. And everyone's talented. I mean, it's just a ton of talent. And everyone's really easy to work with. So I think in that regard, it makes it very easy.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm honored to be a part of this podcast, the Inside Edge Network. It's like you mentioned, Anthony Alfred. I had some people, want me to start a podcast, so I started getting everything together. And Anthony, he lit the fire and he got me off the ground. So absolutely honored to be on this podcast with all you guys, or the Inside Edge Network. You're right. There's so much talent here, and I can't wait to see what brings us, down the road.
Yeah,
I see bigger things coming for this network. So
for sure. Yeah.
One last question before we end it here. I want to ask you this:
Mm-hmm.
what legacy? What do you want people to remember you for after this is all done and said?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I guess I just want people to look at me as someone who, I want to be known as someone who always did things the right way, right? I always want to. I try to. I don't know. Individual success is fine, but I'm more proud of, as I look back on the things that I've done. The team accomplishments like baseball, some of the championships I've won or whatever, and it's just like really being proud of being part of those teams, right? Whatever, the individual stuff is fine, but I think it's just knowing that I don't know. It's a tough question, Papa Moon. Wow.
Why? Hey, there's no wrong answer.
Yeah,
no wrong answer.
And I guess I haven't really thought much about my own individual legacy, but just someone who I guess was always there to in the tough times. I guess I'd like to be known as someone who would make you laugh a little bit, and I think I'm a good listener. I think I'm someone who, if you're having a tough time, I say it on the show all the time. I'm like, listen, if you're struggling and you don't want to reach out, maybe you feel whatever weird about reaching out to a professional. I don't like my screen name's right there. I mean, that's me on all social media. If you want to just vent to me, I'm here. I'll listen to you. I'm not going to judge. I've been through it. I've been through it all. And, there's just, I don't know, I guess my legacy I just would want people to remember me as someone who cared, someone who really cares about the individual, the group, and just, as a positive person. I guess if I'm thought of as being funny when I'm gone, that's great. But I think the biggest thing is, wow, that's a tough question. Really hard to answer.
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah,
Just
like I said, it's nothing wrong.
Yeah. Just someone who's here to like I said, if you're having a tough day, I guess you can think of me as the guy that's I'm always here. Even if I'm having a tough day, I'm willing to shoulder that load to kind of help you get through whatever's bothering you. And, we'll do it together. We'll get through it together. 100%. Whatever it is, you're never alone. You can feel very, very isolated at times, but I guess that's my biggest thing is just remember that you're never alone and there's always someone. And again, I mean, there's my screen name. If you're struggling with something, man, reach out. If you're going to reach out to make fun of me about my take on the Cavs or whatever, that's fine too. I don't care about that. But yeah, I mean, my point is like, if you're struggling and you need somebody to vent to, reach out. I'm here, man. I will listen. I'll kick it with you. It's whatever. I'm just, I try to help people, man. I just try to help.
Yeah. So normally I we end this segment with saying, hey, if you want to say anything educational, blah, 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 you said it. I feel like you said it. I mean, what you just said was 100%. And unless you have something else to say, the floor is yours. But I mean, that was strong, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think just always believe in yourself. Again, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to feel like you can't do it all on your own, because listen, it's not easy, right?
Yep.
Uh, People say that, oh, in my day we did this and we did that. Well, it's not that day anymore, right? It's different now.
Yeah, 100%.
Things are
100%.
much different now. There are a lot of things you can't. It's hard to be a single parent. It's hard to be anything by yourself, right? You're
Correct.
always going to need help, and I think it's okay. Just don't feel ashamed to ask for help. That is the biggest thing, because I think that'll be your biggest regret when you look back. It's like, I could have done more. I could have done more for either, myself, or for my family, or for, whoever it is that you're involved with. You could always do more just by asking for help and collaborating with people and,
Right.
and figuring out the problem together. And I think that's my biggest thing, is just never be afraid to ask, admit that you need help, and then never be afraid to go out and seek out that help, because it's not a weakness. It's a superpower to realize
100%.
your limitations, and to realize that, you can do more with a little bit of assistance here, a little crutch there, whatever it is. Papa Moon, I think that's actually a superpower when you can actually admit that, hit it head on, and really lean into it. You'd be surprised at the heights you could soar at.
Right. 100%. 100%. Thank you so much. Like, I was just going to say, is that a Batman superpower?
Hey, should I?
That's an inside. Oh, there you go. That's an inside joke that, from you're an Eli's show, but no, 100%. Joking aside, that was great advice. I loved it, and people listen to it. I'm telling you. So, where can they find you, Chad?
Where can you find me? Well, you can find me on all social media. I am at Real Chad Bryan. You can find me here on the Inside Edge Network. I actually have my own show that I'm trying to keep up with. It's the sports show with no name. I'm trying to do that as well with my buddy Ben.
Nice.
Yeah, trying to keep that up as well. I've got so many things going on. I'm trying to juggle it all. And again, maybe I need help. If anybody out there is really good at scheduling, at Real Chad Bryan, please tell me how to figure out my life. I'm struggling.
Put me together.
Yeah, please put a schedule together for me so I can be productive. I know my wife does a great job of that. She keeps me on the on that path or whatever. But you can find me on, like I said, Illegal Formation Saturdays at 11. You can find me on the Sunday Sports Show at 11 o'clock. We have a lot of fun with that show. Again, that's just the personalities are great. The knowledge is fantastic on the Sunday Sports Show. I think that's a lot of fun. And then you can find me Monday through Thursday at 10 o'clock on Inside Edge Primetime with Eli.
Awesome. So we're going to wrap up this episode of Real Talk with Papa Moon. And you can find us on all platforms, YouTube. I always forget these, Chad. YouTube. It's down at the bottom here. YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, IG, Facebook. You can also do my YouTube page, Real Talk with Papa Moon. Subscribe to all these. Subscribe to Inside Edge Network. Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? And before we leave, I know you have your candles, Chad.
Yes.
Alley Rose Fragrances, our sponsor for the network. Hey, if you guys are looking for some great Easter gifts, Easter's coming. Yeah. She has body sprays. She has candles. Check her out. If you use Inside Edge Net 20, Inside Edge Net 20, Inside Edge 20, mm-hmm. You can get your 20% off your entire order for Easter. Easter's coming. So look into it and support her. She has a great product, great products.
Yeah, you will be amazed by the quality of the candles. I promise you that. I did not get any body mist. We ordered candles. But you will be amazed by the quality of the candles. They smell amazing. The quality is amazing. Just everything about them is top notch.
You heard it here, guys. So Papa Moon's audience, let's go out, get on there, get some candles. Mm-hmm. So we're going to ready to end this up with that. I'm going to tell you, if you're struggling, if you're in a dark spot, you matter. Your voice matters. Your story matters. So Absolutely. Stay real, stay kind, and remember, every voice matters. Love you guys.